Okay, so welcome everyone to today's cover letter writing webinar. We'll be starting right now as we have a number of attendees, a WMI student scholar from Nigeria, and also a global advisory board member. And on behalf of the global advisory webinar, so this cover letter writing webinar is going to be an interactive session. We look forward to a very educative and interactive session, and it is going to tell us a lot about cover letter writing, the importance of cover letter writing, how to begin writing a cover letter, ways that we should personalize our cover letter, and the tips for our different professions, helpful one because we are all professionals and leaders in our capacities. And you're welcome. We hope to have a very educative and interactive session. So I'm a global advisory board member, like I said, and we the global advisory board thought it's very wise to even put out a leadership skill training like this one to WMI scholars, and is the second event that's been hosted by the global advisory board after the CV writing webinar that was hosted sometime late June. All right, so we'll soon go into what we have for today, but before we start, we want to welcome our WMI 2020 new student scholars. During the registration process, I figured that we have a good number of new scholars with us, and on behalf of the Global Advisory Board and WMI, we say welcome to you all. That's done. We'll introduce our panelists for today. And first, I will start by introducing Bonny Alinga. Mr. Bonny Alinga is a WMI graduate scholar from Uganda. He holds a degree in business administration at Ugandan Christian University, and he majored in human resource management. He has a professional certificate in computer networking. He's a human resource generalist with over 5 years of experience. Bonny Alinga has been involved in Rotary since 2011. He has served as the executive secretary, the president, and also a project director in the board of the Rotary Club in Mbale. In 2009, Bonny founded Nisi Telecom Limited, an ICT at Uganda. Mr. Bonny Alinga is also the founder and executive director of Nisi College School, Lira, a comprehensive high school that supports orphans and vulnerable children in the greater north and northeastern Uganda. Currently, Bonny serves as a WMI development grant mentor. He has his focus and his goal is to offer community services by empowering communities and changing lives. He also is passionate about community and personal development and focuses on health wellness, human resource development and recruitment, productivity and finances. So on behalf of the WMI Global Advisory Board, we're saying welcome and thank you for joining us today, Mr. Bonny Alinga. Thank you.
Thank you, Success. Fantastic. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
It's all good. Thank you for being with us today. And I want to introduce the second panelist, Ms. Viola Isinge. I hope I got it right. Okay, Caroline is a WMI student scholar from
I think Success froze. Can anyone hear her?
No, except you.
Okay, I think she has already introduced our topic of today and also went ahead to introduce one of the speakers. And I can see our speakers are very ready. So I think we'll have to proceed. And now that she has introduced Bonny Mark, so Bonny Mark, you can go ahead and probably introduce the session and let Caroline introduce herself, then just dive into it. Thanks, Karibu.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you every graduate scholar present here, the WMI staff, and WMI Global Advisory Board for putting up this together. As mentioned by Brian and Success, tonight we shall be discussing or taking us through cover letter writing. And me and Caroline will be digging deep into the details of this cover letter writing. And I would like us to take a keynote on the very most important words here as we think about cover letter writing, the importance of the cover letter, how to begin writing it, ways to which we should personalize our cover letter, and tips for different professions that will be diagnosed in this discussion. I would like to invite Carol. Carol will be the first to give us definitions and different types of cover letters. Then I will come back to continue from where she would have already ended. Carol, kindly come on and introduce yourself first. And go ahead to...
Success is back, so maybe Success continue to introduce Carol before she...
Sure.
Okay, Carol, just go ahead, please. Carol? Carol, I'm not sure you can hear me. Kindly go ahead. Also, I just want all the participants to acknowledge the fact that internet might not be stable for some of the participants as well as the panelists. So we kindly ask you to bear with us. But I think, Bonny, you can take it away if Carol is...
Sure. Thank you. As we wait for Carol to connect in, I would like us to first appreciate what cover letter means and different types of cover letter, and we'll be differentiating between the resume and cover letter. What are these main differences between the two? Because people keep on confusing them. So just to introduce a bit, a cover letter is a one-page. Now, a cover letter is a one-page message sent with an application that provides information about you, the applicants, the position you're applying for, and your qualification in relation to the interest in working with the company that you interest, or the following maybe the adverts that you have seen across. A well-written cover letter will stand out for you and be your eye catcher for the recruiter. And I'd like to take it further that a cover letter is as important as your CV. But why is it that it's very relevant in this, in 2020? Some people will ask and will try to think, is it still relevant this year? I mean, in 2020, yes, of course. But let me tell you something about the cover letter. About 60% of the, 26% of the recruiters actually consider critical decision, I mean, take it as a matter of fact to make critical decisions based on your cover letter. And the study has shown
Bonnie, I think we lost you. Hello. Bonnie. Caroline, can you hear me? Hello. Carol?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, can you hear me?
You can turn
Yes,
off,
please.
probably you can turn off your video and then.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Wow. Okay, I think we might have lost our panelists. I'll just check in real quick with Bonnie Mark, and if not, I'll have to do the presentation.
no, I guess my network flickered along the way. I'm sorry. Brian, where did I stop?
Yeah, we lost you when you were just giving some statistics about job search and so on.
Oh, so I was saying about 53% of employers think a resume or a cover letter is not there. I mean, a resume alone is not enough. And 47% of the job seekers write cover letters. And in most cases, people think it is not so much relevant, but it informs the decision. It informs the decision to which the recruiter takes or shortlists you as an applicant. So what are some of these different types of cover letter? Traditionally, we look at the application letter is written for a specific job opening. And this is a traditional cover letter that most people are familiar with. But we also have referral cover letter, and a referral cover letter is a referral cover letter mentions the name of the person who referred you for a particular job to a particular company or an organization. And also we have a letter of interest. Many of us want to seek employment in different organizations, but when there's no opening or an advert to that effect. So we write a letter of interest expressing our willingness or our interest to serve in a particular organization. It is commonly known as a prospecting letter, inquiring about the job opening in a particular company or an organization, which most of us apparently do a lot to inquire whether there is a possible opening for an organization. We also have a networking letter, which is which we often use as we meet in a networking event. We write a follow-up letter expressing our interest to our network cycles. asking them whether there is an opportunity or an opening in a particular organization that they work with, or in an organization where their friends or colleagues work in for any possible job opportunity. And last but not least is a value proposition letter. A value proposition letter in brief is actually a brief statement explaining what makes us a best candidate or make us a unique or suitable candidate for a particular job. And this is another way of writing a cover letter. We have the last one, which is commonly known as short introductory emails, which you write an email to a prospective employer or to a prospective organization or company in a bid to seek for possible placement in an organization. So we call this non-cover letters that is always sent alongside the resume or our academic credentials. So maybe at this point, I would like Carol, if she's on, to come on, take us through a few others before I revert back with other details.
Thank you very much, Bonny. I hope everyone can hear me.
I can hear you.
All right, thank you. I would like to start by introducing myself. My name is Isinge Caroline Viola, and I come from Uganda. Currently, I live in Mbale. I am a WMI student scholar, pursuing a bachelor's degree in business administration, majoring in finance and accounting. I am so privileged to be part of the panelists that will be discussing this very interesting topic that is about cover letter writing. And just like Bonny has explained, I would like just to go into the content of a cover letter. Now, before I get into the content of a cover letter, I would like us to have a perspective or to take note that sometimes a cover letter is requested for when a job advert is run. It's requested for, and then sometimes it is not requested for. So really, a demand for a cover letter depends on the company, and it depends on the institution that is running the job advert. Sometimes you find that maybe the job advert is asking for a CV, an application letter, or some companies will only just require for a cover letter. Now, in scenarios where a job advert is run and then they are just asking for a cover letter, that means you're going to write a detailed cover letter that will entail your application letter as well as some things that are in the CV. So that means if there is this specific job advert and they are only asking for a cover letter, that means you have to be detailed enough to capture most of the things that will be that will surrender you eligible for that position. Now, like Bonny said already earlier on, a cover letter is just a document that is written by a job seeker to the potential employer. And in this cover letter, it has to express the history of the job seeker, the interest the person has, and then also the qualities, the qualifications that the person has. And so when you're writing your cover letter, you really have to make sure that you write a document that is in position to catch the eye of the potential employer. Now, I would like to go straight away into the content of the cover letter. Now, first of all, as you write your cover letter, make sure that you begin with your personal address. Make sure you begin with your personal address, your location, and don't forget to include the date that you are writing the cover letter. That specific date when you're writing that cover letter. So make sure you put in your personal address, your location, and then the date. of when you are writing the cover letter. And then secondly, do not forget to include the address of the employing company or the potential employer. Make sure that you put in the address of the employing company. Now, that is actually how you begin with your cover letter. And then after that, you will, of course, now address it. You have to address it to if you know the person, maybe to the madam or sir and so forth. And then your reference should actually be the position that you are applying for. But of course, you have to have a heading as a cover letter. Now, the most interesting thing that you do not have to forget about a cover letter is right as you start introducing the cover letter in your writing, make sure that you have to express your interest in the job that you're applying for. Most times we write application letters or we write the cover letters and then we forget to express our interest in the position that we are applying for. So in the cover letter, make sure that you do not forget. Make sure that you express your interest in the position that you are applying for. Now, the other thing that is contained in the cover letter is your personal data, your brief history. Where are you from? What tribe are you? I mean, where are you born from? Something like that. Let people have a history, a simple history that is so catchy about who you are. And then the other thing is that you do not have to miss out in your cover letter is actually your qualification. You really have to tell these people in your cover letter, or you need to tell the potential employer that actually your qualifications render you eligible for that position. So that means you have to speak or you have to write in your cover letter detailed enough about your qualifications. Now, for example, when you're writing a cover letter about this specific job, about this specific position, for example, maybe you're seeking for a job in the field of finance and accounting, you have to bring out your qualifications that suit in that line. You do not have to bring out some other qualifications that are not in line with actually what you're applying for. And of course, eventually, your papers will eventually prove you right whether you're truly qualified in that line or not. So as you write your cover letter, it's very important to point out all the qualifications you have. And of course, as you point out the qualifications, that is very definite that it's part of the things that build and make you eligible for that position. Now, as you bring out your qualifications, as you write out all the papers that you have, of course, now it leads to your experience. Now, sometimes you have these papers and then you have done experience in very many fields, like given our employment trend, sometimes you finish school and then you have not gotten a job in line of your profession. But yes, when you're writing a cover letter, make sure you bring out your experience, areas that you have participated, areas that you have potentially exploited your talents, especially in line with the job that you're applying for. Now, for example, if you're applying for maybe a medical field or you're applying to work in a hospital, that means your experience that you're going to point out in this cover letter, they should specifically be these points that really match in, like they come into line with that area that you're applying for. So that means you do not have to bring in irrelevant experiences in line with what you are applying for. So if you're applying for a business position or a finance position, just make sure you bring out the relevant experiences that you have in that area and you write in and just tailor and make sure that you are in a right track as far as that position is concerned. Also, still in elaboration of your experience, just make sure that you do not have a lot of words that do not have meaning. Just make sure you bring out a clear statement of this beautiful experience you've had, and just make sure that when you mention that statement, it is direct to exactly what you have been doing. And yes, that actually builds up the eligibility that you have in that position. Now, as you talk about your experience, I would also encourage you, or I would also say that as you continue writing your cover letter, it is very important that actually you do mention, or you make mention of a positive comment about the business of that company that you're applying in. Now, that means that when you're applying for example, the company that deals in energy savings. So that means as you say something positive about the energy saving, that means you have to bring it positively in a sense that you have to say that your passion and dreams are actually in the energy saving line. So that means you will actually be pointing out to the potential employer that you are actually the right person to work in that company. Why? Because you're telling them that your passion is in line with what the company does. And you're telling them that actually your dreams, future dreams, are also in line with what the company does. So it is also important that you need to spell out, you need to say something positive about what the company does. Now, the other thing that I would also encourage us not to leave out when it comes to writing a cover letter is you could briefly have a success story. Like maybe currently where you're working, you really had this beautiful success story. Take for example, if it was a marketing position, and then you have this success story that maybe when you got into that position, there were sales amounting to maybe 50% out of 100. And then when you came in, the sales have increased to about 80% to 85%. So that is a very beautiful success story that actually you need to bring out briefly in your cover letter. And so that means it's a very beautiful eye catchment that when somebody sees that actually this person is achievement like oriented, like somebody's result oriented, the potential employer can actually really be interested in you and will be like, okay, this person is a performer. Now, as I try to summarize now, like 2 more things, then I summarize about the content of the cover letter. The other thing is that as you try to also conclude or summarize in your cover letter, please do not forget to write about your competencies. It's very, very important. Now, apart from saying that you have a paper in finance, for example, apart from saying that you have a paper in the medical field, for example, we need to be sure of your other skills and abilities. So it is important for you to mention your competencies in those areas. We need to be sure the company employing or the potential employer needs to be very sure of your communication skills, for example, interpersonal skills. How do you relate with people? Yes, you have the paper. Yes, you have the qualification, like from school you've graduated and so forth, but how do you relate with people when it comes to the real actual sense of the working environment? So it is very important in the cover letter that actually you need to point out the competencies that you have. Competencies like team building. You can actually say, I am a very good team builder. And if there are instances or the examples that you do have, you just have to make sure that you bring them out. That all builds up a very detailed and good CV. Good cover letter, sorry. A very good cover letter. So that means you do not have to leave out your competencies. They are very, very important. Yeah. And then the other thing that is also very key in the cover letter is that when you're concluding, please, you have to make sure that you actually have a kind of a motivational statement that encourages the potential employer to invite you for an interaction, say like an interview. Like tell them you would feel free if you're contacted, and then you discussed more about the things you have put in the cover letter. So my dear friends, my dear colleagues, it's very important to have a very rich cover letter that at the end of it all, when you send it, it's going to be this cover letter that when they see, when they read it, they'll be like, yes, this is the person that we have been looking for. Now that means every statement that you are going to put in your cover letter should be carrying value, should be eye-catching, should be a hook that as they read this line, I mean, they are getting satisfied and excited. The next line is more interesting. When you're talking about yourself, you're so confident, you're so sure of what you're putting in the cover letter. So that is basically what I can tell you about the content of the cover letter. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, Carol. You have hit it all. But I want to take us through quickly what you need to consider as well as the part of the cover letter. Cover letter should have about 3 paragraphs at most. And these 3 paragraphs, the first paragraph is about the job opening. That paragraph, you must explain it about what happened. What do you intend to do about the job? And then the second paragraph that you need to pay attention to is the job matching one. Now, it is a job matching paragraph, and in this paragraph consists of your qualification, education, and so forth. So you may need to also consider that while you are writing your cover letter. Then the closing paragraph. These are the 3 fundamental paragraphs, and any good standard cover letter should not exceed 1 page. And in this 1 page, the 3 items I've mentioned, the job matching, the closing paragraph, and the opening paragraph is very, very key in your cover letter. Remember, that cover letter tells your story. The very cover letter builds a relationship with your potential employer. The very cover letter explains your relationship with someone who have referred you. If you are making a referral cover letter, somebody asked different types of cover letter, and I mentioned them, but I will also still quickly run through them highlightly. Application letter, I mentioned that as being a traditional cover letter we often use. Referral cover letter, letter of interest, networking letter, value proposition letter, and short introductory email, which is commonly known as non-cover letter. And this is accompanied with your CV or your resume, as you may call it, in different forms. But remember that employers look into this, even when you see that the company is so big that they may not consider reading your cover letter. Know that the human resource or the recruiters always try to identify people who will go through these detailed selection processes, and they would want to be interested by reading your cover letter. So while doing that, you have to consider all that. But before you write a cover letter, remember to read about the job description as per the advert, if it is already advertised job. Also remember to read a bit more about the organization, what successes that as the organization or the company has registered. What can you use as a tool to also motivate them or interest them in building your, being attracted in you. Allocate your proper time. Most people often take cover letter so slightly. They concentrate on their curriculum vitae or their resume, and when time comes, they pay less attention to their cover letter. They want to do it in a rush, but kindly try to allot some time properly to go through this time and again, so that you become competitive. But also remember, as you put in your cover letter, you're writing beautiful about yourself, don't forget to monitor your social media, because there are some information that will be, got from there. As they read your beautiful cover letter, they will also be wanting to see, this applicant has written so beautiful about herself, about himself, but who is he? Who is she? Who is he online? So you have to watch out on that as well. And I want us to be thoughtful about this. Cover letter, somebody asked, oh, what should be the length? Maximum of 1 page. Remember, it is a cover letter. And things that you should also consider, there should be a matching between your cover letter and your resume or your CV to that effect. The name on the heading of your curriculum vitae, the name on your cover letter should match. And consider also using same uniform letter font style and the font sizes to make you unique and standard at all levels as you write this, as you try to seek opportunity opening for an internship. People would want to see a match in between your cover letter and your resume as you submit them. Remember to use simple language and the same font style, same font sizes. Remember to also have it in a business format. Carol has already told us about how we can outlay our cover letters. Remember to also use block letters where possible. This is a formal letter writing, and the employers expect that. And as you do it, you remember that anything not consistent in your cover letter and what you're mentioning, let's say in your qualification, you are mentioning something different in your cover letter, and in your resume, you're mentioning something different. That will bring a contradiction in the job selection processes. I would like to take us through a very quick sample before we respond to other questions. I want to take, for example, let's say David Senior wants to apply for a position of a marketing manager. And I want to try to bring this in line with what Carol has just explained. I am writing, the subject is very clear, application for the position of marketing manager. I am writing to you out of interest for the position of the marketing manager that I was told about by Brian Juma. I can offer you the skills and experience I have gained from 3 years as a marketing manager at Nisi Marketing Solutions. My experience with the brand management, interdepartmental marketing initiatives, marketing techniques should make me ideal for this position. I will also bring to the table my experience managing a team up to 20 people across different countries. That is if you're dealing with multi-country companies. I understand that your new marketing manager is in charge of bringing Vasco company marketing up to speed with the digital era. Now, I would love to discuss with you how video marketing and brand management would play into this strategy. Please find my resume attached. If you would like more details, I look forward to speaking with you during an interview. Please feel free to contact me at the telephone number anytime during the day. Otherwise, I will be in touch after a week. Thank you once again for your time and consideration. That is David Senior, writing a cover letter for a marketing position. What about Penina Grace, who is a medical doctor and is seeking a medical position at Solace of Hope Hospital? How will she write us? Because she's a doctor, she's not a marketeer, she's not an accountant. Subject remains the position of medical doctor as advertised. I write to introduce myself as, and also to apply to you medical, I write to introduce myself and also apply to your medical doctor position at Solace of Hope Hospital. My name is Penina Grace, and I have included this cover letter and resume for your attention. I have included my CV for your attention, which showcases over 7 years as a medical doctor in Mukono Hospital. This is also where I completed my successful residency and I gained most of the expertise, knowledge, and number of skills that make me the exceptional doctor that I am today. I received my degree as a medical doctor from Makerere University, and I look to your position at Solace of Hope Hospital, as I have always wished to work for such a prestigious hospital, and now feel that I have the experience and training to be applicable for such a position. I have experience in all aspects of medical doctor responsibilities, equipment, and ensure safety and procedural accuracy in every operation and procedure. Thank you for your review of this cover letter and resume. I know I would make a great choice for the medical doctor position at Solace of Hope Hospital, and I would love to have an interview in the next few weeks if it would suit you. Yours sincerely, Penina Grace. Now, these are some of the samples I brought forth so that we can make a relationship between marketing and medical doctor writing an application. I hope this will help us try to figure out how I should tailor my resume or cover letter to suit a particular job opening or a prospective job opportunities that I would be seeking, or you would be seeking to be employed at. So we need to think about this. Do I have to use the same format every time I apply for a position? Do I need to remodify or re-edit or adjust my cover letter? The answer is yes. You are applying to Solace of Hope Hospital. The experience you have gained was from Mukono Hospital. And in Mukono Hospital, you are holding a position. And at Solace of Hope, you got a job. Now, in this Solace of Hope, perhaps you have been elevated and you have served in various positions. You need to edit, you need to adjust, you need to also read through the job description as per the advert. Then you tailor your cover letter to what is being asked for in line with your experience. But let's look at the difference here. Someone will ask, what is the difference between resume and cover letter? I want to bring this distinction. The major difference between the two is that a resume is more detailed overview of your work history, which includes your work experience, your skills, your educational background, and other relevant information about you and what you have accomplished, the achievements. Whereas the cover letter is a brief summary of who you are, how you are qualified, and why you are a good, suitable fit for the position. These are the two differences between resume and a cover letter. And I want us to take it home from that perspective. However, I've already mentioned different forms and different professions. You can tailor it in any form. Whether you're a medical doctor, you're an accountant, you need to tailor it, factor in all this into mind as you seek your next dreamy job. But remember, the key things that shouldn't miss in your cover letter are the highlights of your qualification, the skills, the strength, the previous job that you have accomplished with excellence. Thank you. I'd like to take on, maybe Carol has other things to add on to what I've just mentioned there. Carol, kindly take on.
Summarized it all, like you have brought it out well. You have given examples in different fields and different professions. Now, I just want to make an emphasis that it's very important that each time you're writing a cover letter, make sure that you do not forget to look at what is entailed in the job advert, like Bonny has said, and then make sure that you have to tailor it. Like, this is very serious. Tailor it in regard to what is in the job advert, and make sure you really have a good grammar. Now, there are scenarios, there are mistakes that people normally make. You find that, okay, like the experience I've had is that sometimes when we are shortlisting the applicants, and then we look at people's cover letter, the applicant's cover letters, we realize actually that some of them forgot to tailor in exactly as the requirements in the job advert, and then some of them actually have different content in the cover letter. Like, this happens for real. Like, you find that somebody's cover letter is speaking more of things like in the business world, and yet the person is really applying for a position, say for example, medical field. So it is very important that as an applicant, you are very keen and passionate about the cover letter that you are writing. The key thing here is that as you write this cover letter, first read it, put yourself in a position of the potential employer, the human resource. Put yourself in his shoes or her shoes. And then as you go through this cover letter, ask yourself what sense, what value, what communication is it going to make to this specific human resource manager or so forth. So that at the end of that is like editing now, like being sure of what is in your cover letter. But like we have said it all and we have summarized it, it is very important to make sure that you maintain it is within one page, and then make sure that it's eye-catching, and then it is really tailor-made within the profession or the position that you are applying for. Thank you. I think we'll be expecting questions here and there, so we can be able to hear them out. Thank you.
Fantastic. Should we go ahead to respond to some of the questions on the chat room? Success and Brian.
I think Success and Brian should be able to guide us. Yeah.
Yeah, Success, are you there? Well, I think she had some internet problems. Meanwhile, what I wanted to add on to that very rich discussion was about just in the introduction, when we are writing a cover letter, instead of just saying to whom it may concern, you know, everyone does that. Like, to whom it may concern, or I've seen others like dear sir or madam. And I think these are cliches that everyone else uses. And I mean, for us as leaders and as, you know, scholars having gone through this training, you need to at least do some research on the person that you're sending your cover letter to. And then different ways to do that. You can search this information in the internet, you know, in the blogs, maybe in their social media sites, to get to know who the HR is. Because I think even at personal level, if someone addresses you by your name, it makes more sense. And then you will give more attention to the cover letter and want to read up to the end because you feel personally connected with this person. And then in the ending, and I'm glad both our panelists have mentioned some of these tips. I'm just, emphasizing that, I've seen people write cheers or warm regards, yours truly, take care. It's like, the HR is your best friend. But I want to say that you need to end professionally. Write things like sincerely, regards, kind regards, respectfully, thank you, best regards, and then end with your signature there. There's an electronic signature. If not, you can print, sign it, scan, and then send it back. So with that, I want to thank our panelists so much for the rich discussion. And now we want to go to the Q&A sessions, and I can see.
Brian, just a moment, maybe before you go to the Q&A. It's also important to tell the company that you're applying to what motivates you. Why are you applying for that position? Highlight something that makes people know that actually you're motivated, you're interested for that position. So it is very, very important that you need to highlight or mention what motivates you or what motivated you to apply for that position. Thank you.
Thank you. Success, are you there? Okay, I can see in the Q&A we have some questions that have been put forth. One from Uganda. Do we have specific types of cover letters? If yes, how do they differ? And then we have a person, Mariam, requesting if you guys have a sample of a good cover letter that they can see an example. So I'll let you take on that first, the two, and then we'll move on to the next questions. Bonny Mark, do we have specific types of cover letters? And if yes, how do they differ?
Thank you, Brian, and thank you. Is it Patrick who asked the question? Yes, that's Patrick. We have different types of cover letters, and I've mentioned them. There are about 6 of them, and they all vary because if I'm writing a traditional application and I'm writing a referral, and I want to just do a quick sample of what a referral letter, because what I mentioned in my discussion, the example I gave was more or less on the job opening which has been advertised. Now, look here, David wants to apply for a position which has been referred to him by Brian. How will David write this application? Yeah. Leaving other factors constant, the address is the address. You remember on top you have to put your name, your telephone number, your address, physical address, telephone number, and the date. Then the human resource or the person you're referring, you're writing to, or the CEO. This is a referral letter. Somebody referred you to a company or to an organization which they actually know pretty well, and they have given you an information, an inside information. Let's take, for example, now, Brian, I am writing to your organization or to you regarding the open accounting specialist position at your company. Remember, this referee told you that there is a position which is existing in that organization, and they are looking for a possible person a suitable person to take on this role. So I work alongside Bonny for over a decade. Bonny is the person who has referred you. So you are mentioning to this person so that they know. Whereas Brian is seeking this opportunity, it is Bonny Mark who actually referred him. So for over a decade in finance department at Nisi Telecom, and he suggested I contact you. Take the time to include other information, your resume, your dedication. Now this is a referral letter. Then at the back of it, you are going to put a cover letter to that effect. Now specifying those line of experience, your skills, what makes you a deserving candidate. What about the networking cover letter? This is also, I mean, quite different from the rest. We are having this event. We are having this cover letter writing webinar. Tomorrow you are writing to Bonny Mark for a possibility if there is any opening within the organizations Bonny Mark knows. Now, how will they address that? This is a networking cover letter. First, congratulate the person. If you have known each other, it was an event where both of you were there and you were crowded together. If you have had some good news about an event and now you want to use it as a stepping stone to reach out to Bonny Mark. You know Bonny Mark has been attending his MBA course and has graduated, and you want to reach out to him and also try to find out whether there could be an opening. Now here, look, Brian writes, "Dear Bonny Mark, your former classmate or whatsoever, the way you know him. First, I want to congratulations on completing your MBA this year. What an accomplishment. I just finished mine too this summer and starting to look for a new opportunity. As a highly regarded professional in the technology space, I thought you might know if any of the companies you do businesses with are hiring an IT managers. If so, would you be able to provide me with their contact information or introduce me to them? I look forward to hearing from you, and I would love to meet for a cup of coffee or lunch soon. Please let me know when you are available so we can find time to reconnect. Regards, Brian." This is a networking cover letter. You're seeking opportunity, but through a network of colleagues that you have met either at the university or even at a webinar where you have attended together and you're seeking this. Then the other question, Brian, maybe I can Carol answer that, then I can come back again.
Yeah, thanks, Bonny. I think that answers the question. Now, since we have quite a number of questions, I would ask the panelists to maybe take 1 to 2 minutes to respond to some of these questions so that we can address most of them. So the next question, which I believe has already been alluded to, though you might want to add some more flesh, is please, what is the difference between a cover letter and a motivation letter? And then I think it is Carol who mentioned, either Carol or Bonny, who mentioned different parts of cover letter, different paragraphs. So Gilbert is asking 3 key paragraphs needed in a cover letter. He had a challenge. He could not hear clearly. So if you can just go through that very quickly, and then we can move to the next question.
Thank you, Brian. Let me start with this very last one that they're asking for the 3 key paragraphs of a cover letter. Now, like Bonny has said, there are actually 3 key paragraphs of the cover letter. The first paragraph is actually introducing yourself, speaking about yourself, like personal data. And then also in that first paragraph, it's very important that you incorporate the interest that you have in the position that you're applying for. And so in that first paragraph, also make sure you highlight what motivates you or what motivated you to really apply for that position. And then in the second paragraph is actually now like the body of the paragraph, the body of the cover letter. That means you have to bring in your qualifications, you have to bring in your competencies, you have to bring in your experience, like in that second paragraph. And then in the last paragraph, that is the third paragraph, it's actually now the conclusion of the cover letter. So make sure in your conclusion, you're very, very specific of how you would appreciate the opportunity to meet with the panelists and discuss more of the things that are mentioned in the cover letter. So those are the three paragraphs that are entailed in the cover letter.
Bonny probably can take half a minute to again explain the difference between a cover letter and a motivation letter.
Thank you. A cover letter and a motivational letter. If you look at the types of cover letters I mentioned forth in the beginning, a motivation letter is a letter of interest. And a letter of interest is also known as a prospecting letter. Inquiries about a possible job opening at a particular company. This is a motivation letter. Now, this is specifically for those seeking employment, which is different from those writing a motivational statement for, let's say, scholarship. Yeah, a motivational statement or motivational letter for a course at a university. It is still a letter of interest at the bottom line. But the bottom line is a letter of interest. The simplest way you would want to understand it. Take it as a prospecting letter of intent, letter of inquiry, for a possible job opening at a particular company or an organization to that effect. And then the application, as you know, the cover letter still remains a cover letter it's mostly widely used for one, job opportunities. Then secondly, you want to write, you are submitting a report, you are putting a brief of the content of what is entailed in your report. That is also called a cover letter. So thank you very much. I hope I've answered your question. If there is something you have not understood, please, I am still available to take on for more clarity. Thank you.
In connection to that, Gilbert is asking again, do cover letters differ from country to country, just as we know in organizations? And also in relation to that as well, what is the difference if you're writing cover letter as a medical practitioner, maybe that would differentiate the one from a legal expert, or just in different professions? Any of you can take on that?
Oh, thank you, Brian. I can take it up, but also Bonny would be able to supplement and build it up. Maybe I'll leave out something. I want to believe that cover letters can differ really depending on your profession and depending on also what the company is requiring of an applicant. So that means, one, the fact that the cover letters differ from institution to institution Like, for example, in some other institutions that I know, like some NGO organizations, non-government organizations, some of them I know of having a template. They wouldn't maybe ask for your cover letter, they wouldn't maybe ask for your application letter or even a CV, but instead they will just send for you the template that they have designed, tailoring what information they want from the applicant. So I also believe that the cover letter differs from one profession to profession, but also depending on exactly what are you applying for. So you cannot use the same motivational words that you have in the cover letter for a position of a finance manager as the same words that you would use as you're seeking, maybe writing to a position of a medical officer. Those ones really have to be different because you have to now put in the words of a medical field for the medical position, and then also have the financial language for the financial management. So I want to believe that, Gilbert, I'm in position to answer your question. Like, yes, the cover letter varies. Like we earlier on said, that as you write a cover letter, be very keen to make sure that you tailor make it to the details of the job advert. I would invite Bonny to put in something there.
Fantastic. You have answered it all. I just want to also reaffirm that every organization has its own standard. You go to UN, you're applying for a volunteer position. What motivates you? They will ask you your motivation, and to appear as your cover letter in their form. Remember, you're just filling a form, but what the content therein should actually sell you. Remember, you're telling your story, why you are eligible, why you are best fit for the position. So it differs from profession to profession. I've just given a sample of two. Somebody doing marketing and applying for a marketing position. I've mentioned example of a medical doctor applying for a medical position. Remember, a medical doctor will also apply for an administrative position in an hospital setting. But also knowing that human resource personnel will also apply for the same position of administration in an hospital setting. The accountants will be applying for the same position in a hospital setting. What makes you suitable for that organization is an hospital. You are an accountant. You do not have a foundation of medicine. You are a record officer. You do not have a foundation, maybe you're a medical record officer or you're medical records graduates. These are different professions, but also how you tailor it to suit the organization matters. Different professions demand different languages when it comes to explaining what makes us suitable for a particular position we are seeking. Yes, country to country, I think it's a matter of English, really, how you tailor it. But I believe it is about organization to organization, not country to country. Because at the end of the day, we are looking for a position. I am a human resource. She is an accountant. The same qualification cuts across the whole globe. There is no another doctor who is a medical, who will say is a human resource if he or she has not attended the class of the human resource and calling himself a human resource personnel. I will not call myself a doctor unless I am having a philosophy in human resource. So I will call myself doctor in that regard. But is it a medical doctor? No. So my language, even when I'm a doctor, applying for such position, will still be tailored to my profession as a human resource personnel. Thank you.
Thank you for those responses. I can see Cecilia as requesting for the examples read by Bonny to be forwarded via WhatsApp. I want to confirm that this session has been recorded, so you'll be able to again revisit anytime you want. Again, if you want to engage our panelists, we will be able to provide their email addresses and the WhatsApp numbers for further engagement. And then there's an anonymous attendee who is asking, when you get an advert asking you to send your cover letter and asks you not to add your testimonials, what do they mean? And I want to say that it's not good to share your, professional achievements or maybe a degree certificate if not requested, because you never know who is going to receive them, how are they going to use them, unless they explain Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we
can you hear me now?
Yes.
So unless asked, you should not submit these things unless they ask. And panelists, you can also chip in there. And the anonymous attendees goes ahead to say, the panelists have brought the issue of expressing your interest in the position and maybe highlighting a success story. Does this differ? The issue of expressing your interest in the position and highlighting a success story. So I'll let you respond to that kindly.
Cara, would you want to take on that?
Yeah, I can get started. Then, as usual, you'll come on board. Yeah, thank you so much again, Brian and the team. First, I would like to say something on what the anonymous person is saying about the adverts that you get. And they are saying, send in your cover letter or the application, and then they tell you not to attach the testimonial documents. Now, one reason I have known for such institutions or companies is because they will only request for your testimonials if they have shortlisted you for interviews or for an interaction with them. So that is when they find it deemed fitting that you should actually come with your testimonials to just prove the real ownership of the documents you're talking about in the cover letter, and also to like verify how authentic those documents are and the person that is speaking in the cover letter. So most organizations, yes, they just want you to put in your cover letter or feed in their template. Then afterwards, they will be like, yes, when you're shortlisted is when you bring in your testimonials. Otherwise, they wouldn't want, like Juma has said, they wouldn't want to keep some testimonials that they know maybe they will not even take up this person for that position, or they wouldn't even interact with the person in terms of having an interview with that person. And then the other thing that the anonymous person is talking about is expression of an interest and then a success story. These two things are different. Now, an interest is like, me just coming and telling you, like, I am interested in this position. I'm really, really interested in this position. And I believe that with my qualifications, with my eligibility, with my competencies, I am actually in position to take up this. I'm actually in position. I'm the right person. I'm the right candidate for this position. So what you have, the experiences you have, actually motivate you to have this interest. And so when you look at the job advert, first thing you will know, I am really interested in this position. So it is also very important to take note of it when you're writing a cover letter. Like, you need to really bring out your expression as far as your interest is concerned in that position. And so when in regard to the success story, the success story is actually the story that you have as a success in the experience, one of the experiences you have in your field of profession. For example, you could be working, but then there is this other job advert that has been advertised in another company, and maybe it's going to be good paying. I mean, maybe you would want another environment of work. and maybe have another position. So that means as you apply for that new position, it is very important that in your cover letter, you actually highlight some of the success that you have done, or some of the good things that you have contributed in the current organization or the company that you're working in. Like earlier on, I gave an example. And the example I gave was that, for example, if you're a marketeer, and then you're working in a company that really does sales. And so when you came into that position where you are right now, maybe the sales at the end of the month or at the end of the year would only reach maybe 50% out of 100. But then when you came in with all your skills, with all your abilities and your talents, and with your experience, you're supposed to now tell them that when you came in, you were able to raise the sales to about 85%. So that is a success story that you could actually highlight briefly in the cover letter. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a fantastic response. Anonymous attendee, I want to first understand from your perspective. Are you writing a letter and expressing your interest for a job opening, or you writing a letter for a very specific job that has already been advertised? Now, sharing your success story in an expression of interest, these are two, as Carol has explained it, I do not want to re-allude on what she has already explained thoroughly on, but I want us to know, when do I bring in letter of interest? You know, at which point do I have to put in a letter of interest? If it is not called for, the advert has not come out, the organization you're applying to has not called for any, has not run an advert outside the sourcing for people, but you have got the information. The insider has already told you about opening. That's when you will write a letter of interest indicating what you are capable of, your story, the success story, what you have accomplished, and how you will use it to boost the company, you know, vision and objectives, and making them achieve the ultimate goal that they are looking at. Thank you very much, Brian, and thank you very much, Anonymous, for asking such a brilliant question.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bonny Mark. I'll be stepping in now. Thank you, Juma. Okay, we have the next question from Chika Oja. He said that you should please kindly explain more on job matching in the second paragraph of cover letter writing. So if we can go, any one of you can start on that. Please go ahead.
Is Carol saying I should be as usual? But anyway, let me talk about that. The second paragraph of the job matching. The key thing here, this paragraph should consist of your qualifications, your education background, your experience, what interests you in this position, especially those that match the employer's needs. You know, this is already advert out. They have outlined, we want people of this category of qualification. If you have done social works and social administration, you qualify for this position. If you have done human resource management, you qualify for this position. But if you have a postgraduate in project planning, it's an added advantage. So all this is going to be explained in the second paragraph of your letter, which is job matching. You are bringing the interest, what has been put in the advert that you have, and you can bring to speed to the employer that, yes, what you are asking for, I have. And it is this, it is this, it is this. So it should tell the reader or your potential or the next employer or the recruiter why you best suit this position and why you are interested in this position and why they should interest themselves in having you in this position. So you would want to appear as the perfect applicant in this sense. And additionally, it should also, it calls for other key parts of your resume that you would want the employer to notice. So you bring in what you have captured, some of the key successes you have captured in your resumes or your CV into that paragraph, so that while the recruiter sees that, would want to make a quick reference to your CV to make a match on what you're talking about, and that puts you on the spotlight for a possible dreamy job that you are applying for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just in 30 seconds, I would like to just give an example of what Bonny has just elaborated. For example, if the advert is saying we need someone with 3 years experience, so the job matching is in that when you write your cover letter, make sure that your experience is either 3 years or more. So that means you have actually matched the qualification that you have or the experience you have with the job advert requirements. Sometimes they say in the job advert, for example, that you should be a bachelor's holder. So that means even in your cover letter, you should be able to bring out clearly that actually you have a bachelor's in such a field, which field is in line with the position that is being advertised. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Caroline. We'll be going next to the next question, and this is from Richard Ositi. He said, in the humanitarian concept, there are other positions that may not be specific to any profession. How will you come out with the cover letter detailing your qualification in regards to the position advertised? So, anyone of you can go now.
Carol, would you want to go first? Now, really, this is very interesting. Humanitarian organizations, and we have different, so many professions that handles humanitarian services. We have social works and social administration. We have development studies. We have business, humanity. There are several. And I believe every humanitarian organization do actually have their interests aligned to a specific kind of mission and goal. So you would want to interest yourself, what does this organization do? What are their area of interest? Because you have to tailor it to their interests. And looking at what they do, what do they do? If it is, let's say for UN women, what do they do that I can offer my expertise as a human resource to make them achieve their ultimate goal? You know, this is very key, and we need to also dig deep into that. We have so many humanitarian organizations that is as a matter of fact, we have them, but we need to know what do they do. And all these aspects of our qualifications actually do matter to them. You're a medical person, you're dealing with organizations that gives counseling to the affected, the war victims, to those affected with the stigma of, let's say, currently we are talking about coronavirus. Don't you think, even when you do not have a clear matching qualification, you have something to offer? Then also brings us back. By the time an organization brings out an advert, they are looking for a specific kind of people to come and take some specific role in their organizations. And they normally outline their job descriptions. Now, the job descriptions will tell you exactly what the organization is looking for. And if your qualification, if your qualification matches such a job description, where they are not, they are blatant and they have not specified that there should be from this classification A, B, C, D, in line with the profession, then you pick it from there, because the job description as advertised is not specific on the type of qualification, but you have something to bring to table to entice them to take on you as somebody who would take the organization to another level. So I believe there should be a specific kind of alignment when it comes to advertising for a position in every humanitarian organization. Richard.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Bonny Mac. Thank you, Caroline. We'll go straight to another one. Paul here is saying, I am curious to know if a cover letter needs to contain all your skills or just the specific skill that is necessary for the position that you're applying for.
Thank you, Success, for the question. Remember, I would like to answer that question, but I want to start it from this angle that, remember, we're talking about 3 paragraphs in a cover letter. That means a cover letter should be 1 page. Now, if you bring out all the skills that you have, I'm afraid you might get to page 2 of your cover letter. So that means really, really you have to be wise enough to make sure that you pick out these skills, these qualifications that you know, the competencies that you know can match into the job advert that is being asked for. Summarize as much as possible, but let them have value and make sure you balance them up. Thank you.
Oh my God. You want to bring all you have accumulated the certificate and so and so, certificate and so and so, all that match together. Oh my God. You will write a booklet in your cover letter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Caroline. This is from Brian. Brian is saying, Brian Okinda, what's the best mode of dropping your cover letter to the HR when you are given either options of dropping the hard copy or sending via email? So which is the best?
With what is happening in the current situation, for sure, I would take on the option of email, because you're pretty sure that with or without anything, without rain or sunshine or dust on the way or accident, your application is reaching on the spot to the HR. But you can also take a double way. You can go ahead to deliver the hard copy if you are not contented with what you have sent online. But I believe by virtue of them giving you an email, 2 options, they are giving you opportunity to be sure on which options you want to take. But for me, I would rather go by email. It is not compulsory that you must use email or you must use hand delivery. Traditionally, we used to deliver our applications recorded on a book and the number is given therein. So you choose whichever is convenient for you. But whichever way, so long as you're confident with the processes, but I know for email, it's reaching directly to one individual attending to your application, rather than passing it through a receptionist or somebody who is just seated at the reception receiving applications, and sometimes they are dropped and you're not sure whether the right person will read your application or not. Thank you.
Yeah, just in addition, I want to believe that by the fact that an organization says that you can either email it or drop in, like hand deliver, that means either way is best for that organization at that time. So long as your application reaches or your cover letter reaches, whichever way you will use, you just need to make sure that it reaches. So for Bonny, like you said, in this current situation, an email or emailing it would be the best option. After all, the advertising company has said that either way can work. So you choose the one which is convenient for you. And I believe they will be welcoming at all directions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bonny Mac. Thank you very much, Caroline. We are past time, 1.5 hours, and we are already late. So we'll just have to stop here. Though I can see just one more question in the Q&A session. If we can rush that up in, let's say, a minute, then we conclude. From Ifunaya, she said, is a motivation letter the same as a cover letter? So that's the last question for this session, and we'll round up. So please, Bonny, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Success. This question is coming for the second time, and we address it, but nevertheless, let me take that motivation letter and a cover letter. This literally is the same thing, but motivation letter is a letter of interest, letter that explains why you're unique, why you are suitable for a particular work or for a particular, position in an organization. But this goes a long way for the motivational letter. Motivational letter are used in different forms. They are used for first personal statement, or why you're a deserving candidate for such and such a reward, but also for the job. A cover letter is completely takes a bigger percentage of what you should use for your application, honestly. So they're different. A motivation letter is expression of interest submitted and showing your uniqueness, but also a cover letter, as we earlier defined, is pretty just showcasing how unique you are, the skills you possess, why you're most suitable, the key requirements for the job description that you have read and you're applying for. This is where we can do, we can submit our cover letter for, and that's the difference actually between the motivational letter and the cover letter. The motivational letter is written when you are trying to entice someone to give you an opportunity, whereas a cover letter, you're responding to a direct job advert that has been advertised. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bonny. Thank you very much, Carol. And thank you for attendees that are still here. We are very grateful, though we are sorry that we took more of the time we said we'd actually take initially. But I'm sure it was an engaging session and we all learned a lot. So thank you. I can see messages, about if we'll have a handout and all. So yes, the recorded version of this meeting will be available for all participants and WMI scholars to access. And also, if you need samples for a cover letter, we've already said that you drop your email address and we'll send them across to you. So that done, there'll be a short post survey. I didn't say it earlier, but there'll be a short post survey for attendees that are still here. So please, we need you to fill it so would improve this experience for WMI scholars. So please fill the short post survey that will be sent soon before the conclusion of this webinar. So thank you very much. So Brian, can take over from here. Juma, are you there?
Yes, Success. I think we have come to the end of the session. Thank you to everyone who joined. We really appreciate. If you have any ideas of the next sessions that you would want WMI to Global Advisory Board to organize, kindly let us know. And yeah, thank you for coming. Success. Success, can you see us off now?
Okay, Brian, maybe before we finally close, I would like to, on behalf of the panelists, the speakers, I would like to really thank thank the organizers of this very interesting discussion. Like, thank you so much for inviting us. We are so grateful that we've been in position to share in our experience, the knowledge, the little knowledge that we had, or we have about the cover letter. We are so grateful that we have the platform, or we had the platform to share it out to all the available, all the people that attended this discussion. However, we may not all be perfect, so we want to apologize in one way or the other. Maybe we didn't really like meet up or shoot up to the highest expectation. I really want to apologize because something like a sample, I noticed maybe we were not in position to present it out, but that is something we can actually, like you said, we can actually send to their mails, and so they can have the samples of that. But also, good enough, this thing is recorded, the discussion is recorded, so we'll be able to, have it at a personal level. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful and I'm honored to be part of the panelists, and see you again.
Carol, thank you very much. I will be sharing whatever I have. The samples that has been demanded for, I'll be sharing on your emails and on our WhatsApp forum. Thank you very much, WMI Advisory Board, for putting these things together. And thank you, Brian Chuma. Thank you, Success, for all the moderation that you have done. Fantastic job, well done there. And thank you to all the attendees. You have been very, very wonderful for us this evening. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.